Just to let you know we still got it.
Get this show on the road. Just gotta watch
Motherfucker
where I'm
can't get
looking
enough
because
of
there's
this,
a
boo.
there's a
Motherfucker
screen
can't
here.
get enough
Talking
of
to the
this, boo.
audience. What's good, everybody?
Can't get
MJ,
enough of
aka
this, boo.
Victor. Got a special guest here in the building. K. Shaw himself, Ken from We Are One, and me and Ken, uh, affectionately known as Kenny Shaw. We can let him tell that story of why the hell is we calling this man Kenny Shaw. Uh, College friends that go way back to the 90s, right? I don't want to date us, but I guess I just did. So we've known each other for a while. We've got different perspectives. You got the world according to Ken. You got Victor Bang. We got different ways to look at this. And now we're just coming together and comparing notes. And we're two people that question things. So he's his own man, has his own perspective. So I'll let him speak for himself. So welcome to the show, Kenny Shaw. What's going on, man?
Appreciate it.
So
glad to be here. That's a hell of an introduction.
Yeah. Well, it's many ways we can go with it, but I'm taking the place of the audience because they're gonna. So can we just go Kenny Shaw? Just go and get that out the way. Where's Kenny? Do you remember how Kenny Shaw got started?
Yeah, I think Tommy or Pat didn't know how to pronounce my last name, which is nothing like Shaw. It sounded like Shaw, Valet. I mean,
yeah, it's close. It's pretty.
Valet.
Yeah. I can see how they could mix it up.
It took a few years before they realized where the hell Shaw came from. I said, I don't know. Y'all can't spell. I knew Tommy couldn't spell. Saw Tommy type up a paper one time, and in one paragraph he misspelled like 38 words. Something. Like, man, you in college, player.
This is before auto spell.
And now he's a teacher. Good God.
Well,
speaking of youth, X's and O's. I hope he spells X right and O right.
Getting y'all kids straight,
That's right.
Good coach, though. Good coach. We're gonna try to get him on the show.
Do the pick and roll, Karen. Do the pick and roll. How you spell pick? P-I. Do the damn pick and roll.
Yeah. Well, that's why he teaches math, because he's better at numbers than
P plus
letters.
I plus C plus K equals pick.
So you blame that one on Tommy? Tommy,
I'm pretty sure it was Tommy.
Okay.
Pretty sure it was Tommy.
Gotcha. And we met. So our story goes back to Pat and music. So that's kind of how we started knowing each other, and then kind of just blossomed from there. So Can you just give a little background on that? Just you and Pat and how y'all met and how you met us and we met you.
Yeah, I was sitting in front of Pat, and I think it was the history class, and he was trying to cheat. Of course, he was trying to get through. Nah, just kidding. I think I leaned back, and I think he had a Jodeci CD on or something. I said that's my favorite group, so we started talking from there, and that was it. He came over a couple of times to study, and he tried to look at my paper or whatever, and just realized he could sing. So I said, shit, I was writing my first song, and that's where it came from. After that, I started writing and recording on a little boom box, little GPX. I think it was called GPX, little GPX boom box. And I had met y'all at Smith Hall and introduced us, and it was we were all cool from there. Try to hang with y'all on the basketball court.
So you were writing before you met Pat.
I was writing poetry.
Gotcha. So you just started.
I think I had just literally written my first bars melody. I've had melodies in my head since I can remember, probably 8, 9, 10 years old. I remember I have a song that I wrote literally in the mall, trying to get out the mall. It's called Race for the Clock. They were like, it's 2 minutes left till 5. Y'all gotta get out the mall. And I was put that to a song, walking out of the mall, running out of the mall. So yeah, but I had never really written a song, never had melodies, but I had a few crazy experiences in my life where I knew the words to some songs. Brian McKnight's song, Babyface song, and they said this is a brand new song on the radio, and I had known the majority of the words, not every single word, but it was definitely familiar to me. Almost a deja vu moment. And so I liked trying to chase those melodies that were in my head, trying to write them down. I have many dreams of songs. Um, I think I actually dreamt one of the songs that Brian McKnight had, but uh, memories are a little foggy now. But definitely the melodies, I'm trying to chase those things down in my head and put them down the paper.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool how you were starting that way, and then y'all happened to meet. Like, he didn't meet you when you were just doing something unrelated. Like, he
Right.
was, yeah. So that's pretty cool. We were just talking about that as far as similar paths and aligning and going in the same direction. So that's kind of example of that. So
Our fields intercrossed with Jodeci, and then there it was. So
yeah. So he was playing Jodeci in class.
He had his little Walkman on or whatever he had, and he had his Jodeci CD on. I don't even think he had a notebook or a pen on him. He was just sitting there in class listening to music. But it was the first day. Pretty sure. I think it was a U.S. history class. Like 95% sure.
Yeah, that's a topic in itself. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully we get Pat on. It'd be nice to get Pat, Tommy, Alton. It'd be nice to catch up with the crew. We all are quote unquote grown now, which is interesting. I guess we will be considered grown. Some of us have children, and I don't know if any. Some of us are grand. Some of us grand.
He rose the granddaddy.
Yeah, granddad. Goodness, granddad.
Wow. Granddaddy Jones.
Wow, that's that's cool though. That's cool. Because I was thinking today, I like your thoughts on it. Because now that you're successful adult and you can do what you want and go where you want to go, for the most part, you're grown. For me, growing up, like, I used to think that adults knew more, and that they were not smarter, but that I guess they just had this air that they
worldly knowledge.
Yeah, like that. Oh, well, like, and but then I realized as you get older, and then someone calls you sir, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't have it figured out, and I'm sir now, or I'm ma'am now. That the idea of a grown up is just like there's no limit. Like, you're still going to learn, and we're still just children on one level.
We're all human.
There's still so much we don't know.
Yep.
So what is a grown up? Someone that knows everything? That doesn't happen. Someone that's experienced everything, that doesn't happen. So you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to fall on your butt, even if you're grown. So we're all going to make mistakes. So just that idea of a grown up just changes when you get grown, when you get to that age and you realize that, oh, y'all ain't got this figured out either. So why'd y'all make it seem like y'all did?
Yep, they just wanted to be in power.
Yeah, and I get it, especially if you don't want to tell your kid you don't know what's going on. You want to give them some answer, but it's okay to say you don't know either if you don't know. I mean, that's
right.
That's okay. There are mysteries. We don't know everything.
Well, the first rule of being a parent is to make sure your kid survives. That's rule number one. Mothers different than fathers are, and dads have different set of criteria how they raise their kids. First rule of being a father is make your kids, be able to critically think, hopefully, and survive all the traps out there in the world for them.
Yeah, very important. You said critically think. Like, I was thinking about this the other day when we talk about education. For me, critical thinking is very important. The important part: how to think, how to problem solve, how to come up with a solution when you don't have it in front of your face, how to come up with the most logical thing to do in a situation, versus just this person did this on XYZ and just regurgitate this information. And I'm educated and I'm just repeating what's being told to me. And this stuff doesn't benefit me as a human being whatsoever, like on my day-to-day, but I'm smart in the system. I'm educated in the system, and I can be highly educated. I can read all of this philosophy and all of this stuff, but does that make you a better human being? Does that make you able to cope with the world any better? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Be able to think. Yep. I had an argument with the ladies at the drop off for my son, who's 7, and they have, the drop off goes one way, and they want you to circle around. And I got tired of getting yelled at and not following directions for critically thinking for myself. So I dropped him off. I've been dropping him off and walking into school into the front as I'm in the line. I'm not in the line. I'm kind of pulled over, and behind me is a stop sign. And this lady stops me and says, "Hey, you can't go out that way." And I said, "Why not?" She said, "This is only one way in the morning." I said, "There's a stop sign there." She says, "We don't use that stop sign in the morning." I said, "You teaching your kids to critically think? That's what I want my son to learn." That sounds like that's a stop sign, right? So she said, "Well, we don't use that one." I said, "This is just stupid." I said, you're supposed to be a teacher." So, yep. Critical thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Has becoming a parent changed you in any ways that were unexpected? Any aha moments from that experience? I know you're still in the middle of it.
No, but being a parent is interesting. So 2 days ago, we went to Charleston, dropped off this dog to a groomer for an hour or two, and I had an aha moment for my son there. I've been waiting and watching, and I've been following, the youth and my own memories, and when I think I woke up, when I was become conscious, and so my son hears all this stuff that I'm talking about on YouTube, and that I listen to. Even though he's not listening, he's kind of absorbing it, and I don't think he was really functioning consciousness. A functioning consciousness until very recently. But he looks up in the sky and he goes, as we're driving there, and he goes, "Daddy, I know where clouds come from now." And I said, "Oh, this is gonna be good." He said, "See those planes?" And I told my wife, I said, "Yes, he's starting to understand. He gets it, because those planes are making clouds, which I've been talking about lately." And he didn't. I don't think he said it for my benefit. He just saw the clouds being formed by these planes, and he picked it up. So as far as an aha moment, that was pretty cool aha moment. I said, I hope he's awakened a little bit anyway. Pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's all we can do is be examples at the end of the day. And because. But I guess just hearing that is and he's young, so that's the thing. Like, and we can talk about the whole, and we'll get into the whole conspiracy thing, because that's where the division comes. Because
I don't think it's necessarily conspiracy. The word, I hate that word, first of all.
Yeah,
it comes from the JFK thing, and that was obviously a freaking lie. But I mean, I just think you have to question things, and I think if you don't question things, then you're not paying attention. Like, you can fall for anything. So I don't mean to interrupt you, man, but we can say the question. Let's call it the questioning theory, just questioning things instead of the conspiracy stuff, because I think that puts a gray cloud upon like falseness, and we looking for stuff, and you see stuff in the sky. You're like, well, that's a conspiracy. They're making clouds. No, it's not. I'm actually watching it as we speak. That is, please stop saying that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's where you have to, because so that's where you have to differentiate between like a chemtrail and a contrail, and how the difference between the two, and which one dissipates normally and which one stays and condensates and all of this stuff. But as long as we're not saying, I don't think he's saying that. And that's where I've seen people, the baby get thrown out with the bathwater, where they have some information, some truth, and something correct, and then they encompass something else or add something else to it,
right? Or they speculate. They're speculating intent.
Speculate, and then
speculate intent. Like, oh, they're spraying it so that we die from aluminum. It's like, I didn't say nothing about that. I just talked about they spraying it and they're making clouds.
Right.
Now, they make all the clouds? I don't know. I mean, some, I guess, are formed some other ways, but the plane spraying the clouds, they're all over the place. And honestly, I never noticed them till I moved to Georgia. So I don't know if they spray them everywhere. If they spray them with the jet stream, maybe they're spraying them in Georgia. They want them to go up to New York, that direction with the stream, or if they spray them over the Gulf of Mexico and then they come through Tampa. Like, I don't know how that works. I've never seen planes spraying before. So when I used to hear that about the chemtrails and why they're doing it, and it's like I love the analogy of the detective walking in and seeing the dead body on the floor, and they say, well, if you don't know why he was murdered, then he's not dead. He's like, no, I'm just here to see the dead body. I'll find the motive after I see the dead body. So, I mean, I'm looking at the body in the air. We can all speculate about why, what theory it might be, or why, why that is. But we have to ask why. If we want to find any truth to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and asking that question, it's not interesting as much as it used to be. But it used to be like, I used to wonder more than I do now why it was such a bad thing to ask that question. Why people would get upset with just questioning. Like, it's like a belief system. If I question a belief system, if I say, well, all books have a paper trail. Have you looked at the paper trail? Just that does not mean anything to do with the individual, but people identify with their belief systems, and questioning a doctrine or a dogma or a set of rules or beliefs or principles or whatever, they take that individually. So they don't question. It's like they identify with their faith and their beliefs, and questioning that is questioning them.
I think they're just comfortable in their environment, and they don't see the point of why they would question the people who are writing the rules, or the institutions that are writing the rules. And there's some woke culture in that too. I mean, you see the indoctrination process getting pushed back on both sides of the fence. And that's fine to question what it is. But I think in the end, you still have to consider the source, and consider, you only have so much time to decipher what's going on, and what you want to question. So I think most people would say the same thing, is that why would it matter who wrote the book? So I guess the explanation would be, is it worth my time to figure out who wrote the book and why? Because in the end, I still got to learn it, is what they're going to say. I still have to learn to be a doctor. I still have to, pass the medical exam. Doesn't matter who wrote the book, or what, what the purpose is. I think it's important for people to just realize that, how it is in one place in the U.S. may not be the same as it is in the rest of the world. So to consider that source, Western medicine versus Eastern medicine, root cause medicine versus or proactive versus symptom medicine, treating the symptom without treating the root cause. So there's different ways to look at a problem, and I think that's part of critical thinking, is that you have to look at what's important to you, and don't get distracted by noise.
Yeah, and I'd say the paper trail deal, and I get what you're saying. I've heard arguments on that side as well, but I think it's important, especially if these beliefs and doctrines and principles are things that you're going to dictate your life over or after, and you're going to do that for generations. You would think you'd want to be thorough in your investigation of these things, because who it generates from is important. It's like reading a book about golf. Well, who wrote the book? Tiger Woods or Victor Bang? Well, the book written by Tiger Woods is going to be a lot better than the book written by Victor, right? The person knows a lot more what he's talking about. He has experiences, that and the other. So I think those things, because the proof's going to be in the pudding. Forget who wrote the book. What's your score on the course, right? What's your par? What's your handicap? Of all of these things that we're following, what's the proof? What's our experience? That's the bottom line.
And can it be replicated?
If these belief systems and doctrines and things are supposed to generate this love and peace and joy, then where is it at? It's supposed to be manifested. They're supposed to experience this. So the proof will be in the pudding. So that's why you have to have faith and belief, because it doesn't exist here. They can't say, well, this is what we're talking about. No, you're going to get it later. because we can't do it here. We don't know how to do it because we were reading the book written by Victor Bang on how to play golf. He don't know how to play golf. You know, he watched Tiger Woods. You know, he didn't get out there and swing. He just watched someone swing. He watched someone walk on water. And he just wrote down what he saw.
That's a good example. We can use religion as that. You know, people come to church because they're either suffering or they want to have faith in something bigger than themselves, or looking for a reason. They're looking for the priest to solve a problem for them, or at least be compassionate enough to understand how to perspectualize that. But here's the problem with that. The priests don't play the same game we play. He sit in a church. He listens to the problem, but he don't play the game. He don't have a 9 to 5. He don't have kids. He don't have a life. He doesn't play the same game as people that come to his church. But we look up to him for guidance. So why would I ask a guy how to solve problems or how to perspectualize life when he don't play the same game as us?
Yeah,
he's interpreting a book, but he's also not playing in that book.
Yeah, it would be difficult for him to relate in some aspects because you're not out there in the real world. Like you're supported by the donations based on these people that are coming in here. Like, so.
And much like a doctor, he's getting the people in his church and in his pews that are supporting his work to come back. If he solves all your problems and tells you all the solutions, you're not coming back potentially.
Yeah. And he's probably playing, or she's probably playing a game of growing a church and getting people in the pew and how much
talking
money
about
they're
financials
and
getting donations and where the messages should be not necessarily from the book, but actually should be morals from the book. You know, how to live peacefully and how to spread love and how to just enjoy your life and have gratitude for it.
Yeah. So and so we'll talk about this because that's got me thinking about that example. Because to me, the situation on Earth is we're in a pickle, but it's the solution is simple, but it's our belief in how difficult it is that makes it tough. And I say this in using this example. In this reality, supposedly we got 1% controlling 99%. So that's 1 penny controlling 99 pennies, right? And I said before plenty of times, the only way 1% can control 99% is that the 99% don't know their value. So the game is to devalue those other pennies so they don't know that they're the same value. And then it's like, well, why are you telling me anything? 99% is a majority. It's like a raft, a boat with people, 99 people. Imagine 99 people in a raft, and only one of them is got their oar in the water rowing. The other 99 are just waiting for someone to take the oar in their hand and row for them. And they're complaining about the direction that this one person rowing is going.
And steering the boat.
Yeah, and steering. And it's just insane. And it's like, we're going to go over the cliff. And well, some people are like, it's just, we can go on deeper into the analogy, but you get it. It's like, put your oar in the water. Let's go this way. Like there's 99 of us. Each of us has an oar. We can overpower we the majority, right? What's stopping us other than the belief and all of these things that don't exist? So when you really break that down and you really show it and you really get to, well, are these made up things or are these imaginary things? And these problems that we're going to come up to, because people are going to say, well, what about this and that? Is the problem to fix it worse than the problem of letting it continue? I mean, how much time do you feel we have if we just let it continue? It's going to be a problem to fix it, but it's going to be a bigger problem. We just don't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we could talk about it all day long. I guess it boils down to some of us just going, I accept the fact that people aren't going to do nothing about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could rally the troops. I could waste my life doing that. But in the end, I have to compartmentalize my time of what I think is best for me to do what I need to do or want to do. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't think that this life is a hellhole, a soul trap, or it's heaven. It's kind of both for me. But I'm here to to explore what I want to explore. which is whatever direction I want to go down on the stream. I jumped out the boat. I grabbed my oar and said, well, I'm not going to push against this one guy with the oar in the water. I'm going to jump out and I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to go to shore. I'm going to get my own boat. I'm going to take off the other way. And I think most people feel that they have to do that by themselves. And it's a shame because I think we can get more done as a team and as a collective. But I don't think that it's a feasible thing to do. I mean, everybody has their free will. Everybody has their opinions. And unfortunately, everybody's been, I guess I could say brainwashed, but everybody has been programmed to do what's best for them. That's where we live. That's what capitalism is in essence. Living the American dream, and they have their own opinions of how that should be done. So in the end, that's all you got to live on. And you get to have a life review, most likely when this is done. I'm not sure who does that life review, but they have to look themselves in the mirror and say, this is what I spent my life on. And I don't want to be the one spending my life on, rallying the troops that are not interested in being rallied.
Yeah. No, you hit on a lot of things. Yeah. It makes sense. I feel, just piggybacking on that analogy, that I spent time getting out of the boat, on the shore, this, that, and the other. But it's like, there's a part of me that's like, I got family on the boat. It's like, and some of them don't know any better to row that way. It's like, if they really knew what they were up against, then they definitely row that way. Like if they really knew, but do they really know? Just like Jesus supposedly said, forgive them for they don't know what they do. If they really knew, right, they wouldn't do it. Yep. They really don't know. They think they're doing the right thing. We've been programmed. It's easy to fall into. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's got their oar in the boat. The oddballs are the ones that are out there trying to rally the troops. So I get it. I get it. So this is my, what I feel. I try to never say never, but jumping in the boat and trying to rally the troops, like it's getting old for me too. So this is so I've recorded all of this stuff to be a virtual representation.
You told everybody in the boat what you was gonna do. You said, I'm gonna get my own boat. If y'all want to come with me, come with me. And you gave him a countdown, and you've been trying to talk him into it. But in the end, it's time for you to get out of the boat.
Yeah,
and you've gotten out of the boat. You still shouting at them. Hey, where y'all going? Y'all going the wrong direction. But they're still in the boat. I mean, and at some point in time, they're just going to float away. Where you might have to call them on the cell phone once you get to where you're at and they get to where they're at.
Yeah, it's going to be what it is. And that's real. Yeah. And there was a part of me that, because man, I envisioned this part in the journey, and I was thinking about this the other day, like getting here, like I'm not as motivated as I used to be to put information out and try to wake people up and be gung ho about this, and I figured I would. Like I didn't know the resistance with the family would be as strong as it was. I knew there would be resistance because of how I was brought up, but I didn't know it would be as strong and there'd be so much division as there is now. I didn't anticipate that. But the other stuff, I kind of figured. That's why I was, documenting it, because they'll get to the point, and I'm quoting Anthony DeMeo, where he's like, one day I hope to be wise where I don't try to wake anyone up. Maybe one, because he's saying this at a seminar, one day I'll be wise and shut up. And I'm looking forward to that. But I've talked a lot, and I just want to wrap this up. I just want to be like, are y'all sure? Are y'all sure?
Yeah.
Because I've tried to shoot as many holes in all of this, and I just want to help. I'm here too, but I can only do so much. And I'll be as bold of an example as people will allow, but I'm not going to just do it and be out there and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't bring value. It's just, it's just like being ahead of your time. Like at some point, you just got to say, all right, we'll just come check on them in a couple generations. Because
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you look back in history, how many philosophers, how many great philosophers were not looked at in the same, the same way. I don't know what that word I was looking for. Wasn't that one? But they all seem to be ahead of their time. They all seem to be preaching to people who were not interested in listening. But, for whatever reason, I'm not going to sit there and be on a high horse, nothing like that. But, in the end, I mean, I think it boils down to, you have to do what is your destiny. And, your destiny is probably to jump out the boat. And it's always been that. And I think you can save more people by getting your own boat than you can by trying to, you know, hand everybody an oar and go. By the time you get everybody on board, you're going to be so far away from the path you were supposed to be on. It's truly the path of least resistance.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I had a vision like just thinking of the guy that had all the money in the world, but no one to share it with. Like, you're in this big yacht, in this beautiful yacht in the middle of the ocean, and no one's around you. Would you rather that, or would you rather have people to share it with? Of course, you'd rather have people to share it with. Most people would say that, but what are those people you're sharing it with are fake backstabbing, and it didn't help you to get the yacht, or were pulling you down when you on. So whatever the scenario is to that point, it seems like the end scenario is still going to be there. It's like it's still going to be that story. But
it's almost like when you were saying that, I was thinking about my own not my own situation, my own example. It's almost like these athletes that we're almost like world-class athletes. And the example I'll use is, you can, everybody can go to the park when you're 5, when you're 6, when you're 7, when you're 10. You can shoot hoops with your buddies all you want to, right? But in the end, the one who puts in the most work and the one who gets to the league, he can't take his boys to the league. You have to, at some point in time, you got to leave them behind. And it's tough. You want to bring your homeboys to college, and you want them to see, the good that you're doing, and you try to tell them, you let's go shoot hoops. Let's go, handle the rock. Let's go practice. And they wanted to play video games, and at some point in time, your destiny wasn't to play video games. It was to go to the league. And you can either be, by your example, you can either be happy, fulfilling your passion, or at least pursuing your passion, I guess is a better way to put it, or you can be ignorant and miserable with the rest of the crowd. Because in the end, we only have so many motivated and passionate people in this world. And if you're one of them, you shouldn't distinguish your fire for anyone.
Yeah, that's right there.
You're an Olympian, man. You got to hold the torch. You got to keep running, but you can't run with your homeboys. You got to run those 26 miles by yourself.
Yeah, that's real there. That is real there, sir. Yeah, like, so just to put the hammer and the nail into the I won't say hammer and the nail. That's a bad joke to talk about when you want to talk about Jesus and all of this stuff. But my thoughts about
Saturday.
Well, yeah, we're so what, he was supposedly killed yesterday. Is that Good Friday?
I think Good Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
And then he's resurrected
on Sunday. Yeah, which isn't 3 days, by the way. But okay, let's just go with that.
Yeah. So and here's the things that gets me, and we'll see, because if I continue where I feel it's going, and if I'm having this conversation and that's happened on some level, a lot of these things that we're talking about are going to be in the light. These conversations that are had are going to be more public, so we can just go in and hash this thing out, right? What's more likely, this, that? What's more probable, this, that? The evidence is this, because this, in the age of information, like ignorance to certain things, I mean, there's certain things we shouldn't be fighting over. And we should understand that if it's a belief, then these are the things supporting it, and these are the things that are not supporting it, which is why there's a belief. There's not a belief in pens. There's a belief in things that aren't here. I'm describing to you something that is used to write, and well, that's a pen. And we can argue over what color it is, but we're not arguing over this. But like for me, Jesus, to me, it makes more sense. Jesus was just a regular guy. Jesus wasn't the only one to wake up. There were others that before him, and he echoed some of the things that were talked about before his time. And there were other people, the teachings, the places that he learned from, people taught him. He was echoing some of those things, right? So it wasn't like he had all of these original ideas and thoughts. Now, he may have been someone that practiced whatever he practiced to get on whatever level he was on, but he never gave a air of arrogance as far as him having the ability to do something that someone else couldn't do, when he talked about the kingdom being within. And here in the South, there's these billboards you can call, talk to, find out about Jesus and this, that, and the other, and, these church things. I called him twice. The second time he hung up on me because
truth.
Well, because I was trying to get we were talking about belief, and he just wouldn't concede to, to the understanding what the idea of belief was. But anyway, the first time was on the first documentary, and he left it because again, we're talking about things, and I'm giving him counters to what he's saying, not just pure belief, but just because you're trying to be scientific. You can't be scientific and talk about logic and history and then certain things on the other end. Anyway, I know I'm rambling, but long story short, he was saying, all right, well, I'll concede to this. You're saying I'm looking for God outside and you're looking for God inside. That's kind of where he left it off. Like that, that was it. That's where we're going to draw the line. But like, well, damn, isn't the guy you're hollering about, talking about the kingdom of God was inside? So aren't you looking in the wrong direction, buddy? So some of these things we can just simply talk about. I'm not trying to get into the weeds here, and because I think that's how they kind of get us divided and worrying about hypothetical things. Let's master the basics first before we try to do the 360 dunk. Let's get the free throws and the basics before we go. But between the legs, let's just learn how to not double dribble. Let's stop traveling before we try to do all this fancy stuff. And I think that's kind of where we are. We're doing all this fancy stuff, and we're just messing crap up. And we need to get back to the basics, back to what's real, and back to us, not to someone else doing something for us we can do for ourselves.
Yep. And I think it's important to recognize the since this is Easter weekend, that we should consider listening to the Gnostic Gospels, which were written by the Essenes, which were the friends of Jesus and the disciples of Jesus. And may I mention that none of the Gnostic Bibles are canonized. So let's listen to his friends, consider those, as opposed to listening to the writings of people who were not considered his friends or followers. I think that's pretty important to stress there.
Yeah. And just hearing you say it and just echoing what you said before, I can just hear, well, I already know this. Just the arrogance of already knowing, and how that just closes you off. Like as soon as you claim to know it all, that just ends whatever you can learn. But there are people that would be like, well, I don't need to know anything. Everything I need to know is in the Bible, this, that, and the other. And you can't even have a conversation about where the origin story of that. It's not, it doesn't even register. And I'm not even interested in convincing, having conversations, or I'm working on the other boat stuff, so that's kind of what I'm focusing on now. There was a time where I wanted to do
a stepping stone for people to realize that there are non-canonical Bibles, and they were actually written by the Essenes and the Gnostic texts. So, if that even starts one person looking into that, I think that would be a win. Maybe you can get somebody to at least raise their hand in the boat, that they understand what we're talking about here. And we're not, I'm certainly not going to, belittle the teachings that are in the Bible, but I don't think that it is the entire thing that is should be stressed and should be should be followed to a T, because there are more important things that are not in the Bible, written by teachings of Jesus and things like that. So even if Jesus was a regular guy, which we'll never know, honestly, the teaching of how special we are, and how we should treat each other, I think is the major message that we should go about this weekend with.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, what it boils down to, yeah, you said it well. I mean, at the end of the day, if what you're believing in is bringing you joy and peace, and you're happy with yourself and you're projecting that out, I mean, that's fine.
That's great.
The issue I have is when there's problems and we just sweep them under the rug. Like if it's supposed to be this and it's not that, and it's supposed to work this way and it doesn't, and I'm supposed to ask for this and get this and I don't, and you make excuses and slide it under the rug, or this, that, and the other, or there could be more to the story, or the story could be false. We have to
Well, there
look
could
at
be
that.
different perspectives to the story too. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but one of the things that I realized when I was young, watching sports, was that stuff didn't make sense. And you see the guy catching the ball in the end zone, or catching a fly ball, or hitting a home run, and he's like, thank God, thank God. And meanwhile, the other guy's got his head down because he just lost, or he got jumped over and he got mossed, and you don't see that guy going, thank God, because there's always two ways to perceive how things happen. This wasn't the will of God, sir, catching the touchdown or hitting a home run. This was just, the will of probability, or whatever you call it. So you have to look with your eyes open, and critically think, and hopefully that's what people are starting to do a little more of.
Yeah, God got money on them boys. God got a parlay out on them.
Yeah, God didn't like the dude just got mossed on. He didn't go to church enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny. That and the artist that gets up there that has number one single for killing all the WAP and rap and cap, and then he gets up there and thanks God and this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's like, all right.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
He told me to write this nonsense, and I did it.
I was thinking about busting the cap in him. I was praying, and the Lord said,
he got teardrops on his eyes, and he's deucing everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, we got
a lot of problems with people, but hopefully we can overcome them and experience what we want to experience.
Yeah, I think we will, man. But before you go, this is one of the things I've been playing with, and I'll show you this, and not to get too, because we were talking about music, and I was talking about like multidimensional things, and I was thinking how music is multidimensional, right? Because it can have frequency? Well, I was thinking of it from multidimensional storage. So, for example, let's just say, so this is a cube, right? Just think of this as a song, okay? So let's just say a Jodeci song, whatever the Jodeci song is. Name a Jodeci song.
Freaking You.
Freaking You. Okay, Freaking You. So Freaking You has one meaning for Ken. Let's say this cube is the song Freaking You. It has one meaning for Ken. It's going to have another meaning for me. It's going to have another meaning for Pat. And then there's a junction from the first time you heard it. Like there's stories that go around this music. And then on the inside of the music, there's a story of the artist and how they made it and how they wrote it, what was going on through them. And then if there's a major moment in your life, like how this one song, because it captures that moment too when the artist created it. So that's a time capsule there, right? So just thinking of how music, just one song, even that song Freaking You, it can mean one thing when you first heard it, but then you can have a major memory tied to it, and now it brings up another
emotion, everything. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So when they say music is like a universal language, I was just thinking of how efficient it is, because you can communicate emotions and feelings without language, just using music and things of that nature too.
Yep, and it does store, because you're storing those memories and those emotions that you're tied into, whenever you heard it, or how many times you heard it, or maybe you got some action to
Right,
whatever your
right.
first song was. So, that's going to have a
That's
put
gonna
a
have a
smile
big
on
one.
your face.
Yeah.
It could be a horrible song, or, you could have been your wedding song and your spouse is gone. So there's a lot of emotions that get tied into that. And that's how you process things. And that's all that there is the emotion that's tied into your memories and your thoughts and your consciousness.
Yeah. So part of the experiment is to take the compression that we see with this, like all of the memories and information and stuff that can be in a song, but the song is just a simple representation of all that. How can we get what the potential for humanity is in a simple form? And if you need to expand it out, because what happens is we're getting caught up in this expanded all this and the fringes are fighting. But I bet you we can pull it down to these are the 6 things. What are the 6 things or 8 things humanity needs to focus on? Like not all of this peripheral out here stuff. What are the things we really need to look at? Like,
I
and
think
to
it
blow
boils
that
down
up.
to just feeling. The word is love, obviously, but it's the feeling of love, not the word love. So the feeling of love can be attached to multiple dimensions of that. You can love something material. You can love a person. You can love a feeling. You can love a memory. You can love faith. You can love a thought. You can love a lot of different things. But attaching love, the feeling, to whatever cube that you have that you want to attach to the world, that feeling won't be wrong. So you're going to have to find that multidimensional feeling for everyone to be able to hold on to it. Because for people, so we'll use the war as an example, right? Like we'll use this Ukraine conflict as say love, right? So Ukraine is fighting for its land, and they're fighting for the love of whatever, free will, free right to choose, free election, whatever that is, right? And Russia's fighting for love. They think that is the right thing to do. They're fighting for their people back. They're fighting for that land to give those people who want them to be under the governance of Russia. They're fighting for the love of humanity, even though we look at that and go, well, Russia's not fighting for love. They're fighting for greed, but they're not. They're fighting for their perspective of the situation. Could be the love of their country, love of their, for how they feel about Putin and their policies or whatever, or the love of their paycheck for their families. So there's a lot of different ways you can wrap that into multi dimensions, and we're supporting them with tax dollars because we want people to to love and be able to have their own governance and own freedoms over there. And France donating tanks, and again, it's all out of love, but it's different perspectives of love. And so you have to have that feeling instead of just the word.
That's true. That is true. And I think there's something that each of us loves, and each of us is motivated to improve in, and we can use whatever we're passionate about pretty much to kind of be one of those anchors. But that's an individual thing. But just to show in general that it's possible, I guess that's the first thing, just to show the probability and the possibility.
It would be, but if you look at that same conflict, everyone who's involved in the situation and the conflict is at some point being both service to self and both service to others in the same aspect. And it's all revolving around them being there or having that conflict. If they focus on service to others, then that conflict stops, right? I mean, they have both service to self because they have motivations for being there and doing what they're doing on both sides of the conflict. But if they focus on service to other, then the goal becomes very simple. It becomes put down your guns, put down your weapons. Let's talk about this. Everybody can get what they want, and that goes away. So we got to focus on that.
Yeah, that's real there. I mean, we don't have to be very complicated. Like I'm looking at ways to do it simply. Because otherwise, what are we doing here? We're just bread and circus until we, I don't know. I just feel I feel there's so much potential that's unrealized, and I don't see nothing stopping us from doing it. So other than comfort and in past, just past failures. Like we tend to think just because something failed in the past that oh, well, that doesn't work. But yeah, that one particular thing didn't work. So could you change something to make it better or to make it more beneficial? Or
if you can't make it beneficial for yourself, can you do it for someone else? Can you make it beneficial for someone else? Whatever situation is, make somebody win out of the situation.
Yeah.
And then if they win, then you win. So sort of emotionally.
Because you think about it, like just that attitude, that no quit, no give up, don't take no for an answer, that attitude in the military that's there, in tech that's there. Don't tell me you can't do it. You don't see Lockheed Martin saying, "Oh, we can't make it to where they can't see it on the radar. That's going to cost too much." Like they're going to figure out how to solve an issue. Like I feel we can do that as well with what's going on with us as a whole. We just haven't done it yet. It's just not financially, and the system doesn't make it financially beneficial to do that, but that's the system. That's why we need to see like,
people are being victims. That's why those people in the boats, they're being a victim. They don't think they can get out of the situation that they're in, so they look for somebody else's help. They're going to keep their boat right in their hand, their oar right in their hand, and they're going to say, I'm going to need help. So keep steering. I'm going to sit right here. And instead of, taking their independence and whatever situation comes at them, making the best of it and just keep on keeping on. That probably didn't sound how I thought it was going to sound, but, stop being a victim, take your own situation in your own hands and you can change it.
Yeah. And eventually will that critical thinking that you're talking about, because that victimhood, that ask your superior, instead of figure it out, like
that's what it boils down to. You're asking the church. You're right. You're asking a God who you are separated from to help you, show you the way, show you the light, help you out, guide you, do whatever that is, instead of going inside and saying, this is a situation I have to do. I can do this. You're looking for your salvation inside instead of looking at it from an external point of view to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's amazing when I think about it. Just there's a couple billion, and I'm not just beating up on Christians or in any religion in general, but I'm more familiar with Christianity just because I was brought up that way. So I'm just more familiar with that system. But anyway, it's just to think there's 2 billion Christians on the planet, like, and what could be possible with just 2 billion of any group coming together and doing anything of any significance. Like that's a huge number. So, and what gets me is, so you've had billions, you got billions of people now. You have, and I'm not picking on any particular religion, but I'm going to talk about Christianity and Catholicism because of how much land, money, influence, and all of this stuff, right? And you've had this for a long time. And what is the benefit of it? How has that progressed things? Is one of the questions that I don't see an answer to. But I've seen benefits to a personal spiritual journey, growth, things that you can apply to your life, way to deal with emotions, way to deal with trauma, way to deal with stress, way to decompress, way to do all of these things, real tools to handle this thing called life that aren't given to you.
And those are all internal things you just mentioned. Every one of those things was an internal process.
Yeah. That is valuable. That is valuable. That can get you out of situations, save you from situations, keep you out of jail, keep you from making decisions just based on reaction, to think consciously, to not be an NPC, to think critically, just like you said, right? That should be the education and the way that we're taught. So we just got to reintroduce that. And in the way that I feel, we'll see why, but I feel like there's a sense of urgency, and this is the generation to do it. This is the bridge between us, the younger generation, and the older generation. Like, this is the link to get it right, because it just feels that way. Like, this is the time to correct it, to make that juncture in the timeline where the train goes from that one track to this track. Like, I feel we're in that phase of it. So we'll see. It's exciting, because the things we're talking about is coming up in it's real life. It's like before, you used to be ridiculed for having the thoughts in discussions that are mainstream news now. So those that used to look at us a certain way in the past are starting to see they're behind the ball with, the things that are mainstream now, we've kind of knew about. And now it's becoming, we just have to be careful with the arrogance of what we've known before, and also be careful with not letting the mainstream control the narrative when it does get too big. When spirituality does really come out and people really see what's going on, they'll try to control the narrative like they control anything. So we just got to be prepared for that too.
Yep. Just comes down to critical thinking. Hopefully these conversations will be heard, and people who are listening to this, while they very well may agree 100%, maybe they have family members who need to listen to this or need to listen to, some of these points that we're making, or they need to be given these points to them so they can critically think for the next issue. Because obviously not everyone followed the same rule book of critical thinking the first time this happens.
Yeah. Shoot, yeah. There's two sides to every story. Two sides to every story. There's two sides to every piece of paper. So there's another dimension to the story for sure. So just look at the other side. Anything else you want to say, man? I don't want to keep you too long, and I appreciate you jumping on, man. I know we'll do it again.
Yep. Nope. Just hopefully people are, like I said, even if they agree 100%, they think they know this, or they're on the same page. That's great. But how do you bring this up to your family members, and how do you continually push critical thinking to them? Because you like you said, you can't give everybody an orange tell them to get out. Sometimes it takes you getting out first, taking that first step. So I think most people who are watching this have already taken that first step. Maybe in the future they'll look back upon this and this will be maybe the start of something, or just reaffirmation, a synchronicity that they saw it.
Yeah. Cool.
She was here for a reason. You're supposed to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to hear more of these talks? Check out the We Are One channel and check out Victor Bang's channel.
Yeah, definitely. It's ramping up and it's it's ramping up. So appreciate the special guest, Kenny, aka Shaw. We know how to pronounce it now, but Ken from We Are One. Appreciate you stopping by, and this is MJ and Victor Bang sign off. We'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be easy.
Peace, love and harmony, and grits.